The entryway to Paul and Lynn's residence rarely welcomed visitors. It remained a silent witness to the comings and goings through more frequented doors. To one side, a garage side door served as their main point of entry, while sliding glass doors on the patio invited casual breezes and light into their home. Upon entering, one's gaze might be drawn to the formal living room to the right, an immaculate space seldom disturbed by daily life. Its pristine condition spoke volumes of its underuse, with thick curtains often drawn shut, shrouding the room in an almost tangible stillness. At the heart of this undisturbed sanctuary sat a white camelback sofa, flanked by imposing wingback chairs, all poised around a walnut coffee table, a silent audience to the dramas that never played out within its confines. Opposite this room, a hallway extended to the left of the entry, serving as a thoroughfare to the more intimate spaces of the house. 3 bedrooms, each holding stories of their own, and a guest bathroom, all discreetly tucked away from prying eyes. Late one morning, the house's quietude enveloped Paul as he found solace in the wingback chair facing away from the living room's entry. This chair, a silent companion to his solitary musings, cradled him as he pondered the weight of decisions yet unmade. It was here, in the dim light filtered through closed curtains, that Paul grappled with the future of his marriage to Lynn, a partnership marred by discord and unmet expectations. The fabric of their life together, woven over a decade, seemed frayed by arguments and a lingering dissatisfaction that no amount of contemplation could mend. As Paul sat, lost in thought, the sound of the side door signaled Lynn's return, pulling him back from the precipice of his reverie. The knowledge that she had returned from her routine shopping should have spurred him to action, to present himself anywhere but in the living room, a battleground for their frequent and futile arguments. Yet he remained, immobilized by a mix of resignation and defiance, awaiting the inevitable storm her presence would bring. Arguments in their home were as common as the dust that settled unnoticed on the seldom-used living room surfaces. Initiated by Lynn over trivial matters, these disputes seemed designed to disorient and dominate, leaving Paul to navigate a labyrinth of criticism and contempt. Their marriage, once a union of hopeful companionship, had devolved into a cycle of conflict and conciliation, leaving Paul to wonder if a resolution existed beyond the stark finality of divorce or death. Yet, as Lynn moved through the house, her presence a catalyst for introspection, Paul remained seated, a silent observer to the life he had built and the decisions that lay ahead. This moment, seemingly inconsequential in the grand tapestry of their shared existence, would later emerge as a turning point, a prelude to revelations that would challenge the very foundation of their union. Paul's contemplation in the unused living room revealed the depth of his marital discontent. Beyond the facade of their shared life, the specter of divorce loomed large, carrying with it the fear of financial ruin and the ongoing torment of dealing with Lynn's vindictive nature. Yet, the day's mundane beginning belied the seismic shift that was about to occur in Paul's life. As Lynn returned home, unaware of Paul's presence in the living room, the stage was set for revelations that would irrevocably alter their relationship. In the silence that followed Lynn's arrival, Paul remained hidden, wrestling with the inertia of his dissatisfaction. The couple's dynamic, characterized by Lynn's critical outbursts and Paul's defensive acquiescence, had entrenched a toxic pattern in their marriage. Paul's resignation to this cycle underscored his sense of hopelessness, a sentiment that had become all too familiar in their 10 years together. Yet, it was Lynn's innocuous act of grocery shopping that unwittingly catalyzed the unraveling of their facade. As Paul overheard a conversation between Lynn and her father, or so it seemed, the veil of normalcy began to lift. The details of the call, veiled in secrecy and innuendo, hinted at a clandestine relationship that transcended the bounds of marital fidelity. Paul's realization of Lynn's betrayal ignited a maelstrom of emotions, from betrayal to fury, setting the stage for a confrontation that would lay bare the illusions upon which their marriage was built. The subsequent interactions, laden with tension and unspoken accusations, underscored the growing chasm between them. Paul, now burdened with the knowledge of Lynn's infidelity, navigated the treacherous waters of their marriage with a newfound resolve. His decision to confront Lynn, however, was tempered by the complexities of their shared history and the daunting prospect of facing the consequences of their unraveling relationship. As Paul grappled with the ramifications of Lynn's betrayal, he was forced to confront the stark realities of their marriage. The facade of normalcy, maintained through a delicate balance of avoidance and acquiescence, began to crumble, revealing the underlying fissures that had long threatened their union. In this moment of reckoning, Paul was faced with a choice: to continue the charade of their marriage or to confront the painful truths that lay hidden beneath the surface. The unraveling of Paul and Lynn's marriage serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of human relationships. In their struggle, we are confronted with the harsh realities of love, betrayal, and the enduring quest for personal fulfillment. As their story unfolds, we are invited to reflect on the nature of our own relationships and the choices we make in the pursuit of happiness. Paul's internal struggle reached a climax as he faced the harsh reality of Lynn's infidelity, a revelation that forced him to reassess the foundations of their marriage. The betrayal was not just a breach of trust, but a catalyst for Paul to confront the underlying issues that had plagued their relationship for years. His initial inertia gave way to a resolve to take control of his life, a decision that would set him on a path of confrontation and, ultimately, transformation. In the aftermath of Lynn's secretive phone call, Paul meticulously began to piece together the evidence of her affair, transforming from the passive partner to an active investigator into the depths of their marital discord. His discovery of the affair, while devastating, provided him with a clarity that had been missing for years. It was a painful acknowledgement of the reality that the marriage he had invested in was built on a foundation of deception and manipulation. The decision to confront Lynn required a strategy that would not only expose her betrayal, but also protect Paul from further emotional and financial harm. He recognized the need for meticulous planning, drawing upon the lessons learned from his past experiences and his natural inclination for caution. This approach reflected a deeper understanding of the stakes involved, not just in terms of his marriage, but his overall well-being. As Paul prepared for the confrontation, he grappled with the complexity of his emotions. Anger and betrayal were intertwined with a sense of loss for what their marriage could have been. This emotional turmoil was further compounded by the need to navigate the legal and financial implications of divorce, a process fraught with its own set of challenges and uncertainties. The eventual confrontation between Paul and Lynn marked a turning point in their relationship. It was a moment charged with tension and revelation, as Paul presented the evidence of her infidelity and demanded answers. Lynn's response, a mix of defensiveness and rationalization, underscored the depth of their estrangement. The conversation laid bare the emotional distance that had grown between them, a chasm widened by years of unspoken grievances and resentments. In the aftermath of their confrontation, Paul found himself on a path of self-discovery and renewal. The end of his marriage, while painful, offered him an opportunity to redefine his identity and priorities. It was a chance to build a life that reflected his values and aspirations, free from the constraints of a relationship that had become a source of profound dissatisfaction. Paul's journey from passive acceptance to active engagement in his life underscores the transformative power of adversity. It is a testament to the human capacity for resilience and growth in the face of betrayal and heartbreak. As Paul navigates the aftermath of his marriage, he emerges as a figure of strength and determination, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is the potential for renewal and hope. As Paul's understanding of Lynn's infidelity crystallized, his previous inertia gave way to a meticulous planning for confrontation. With the veil lifted on Lynn's betrayal, Paul began to marshal his resources and strategize, marking a transition from passive victim to an actor in control of his own narrative. His decision to not immediately confront Lynn, but rather to gather undeniable evidence, underscored a shift towards a more calculated approach to addressing the deceit that had infiltrated their marriage. In his quest for evidence, Paul turned to technology and alliances. He subtly monitored Lynn's communications, laying the groundwork for his impending confrontation. The knowledge of Lynn's affair, once a source of torment, became the catalyst for Paul's transformation. He sought out allies in unexpected places, reaching out to mutual friends and acquaintances who might unwittingly hold pieces of the puzzle to Lin's duplicity. The anticipation of the confrontation built as Paul meticulously planned the moment. He envisioned various scenarios, each detailed in its execution, reflecting a desire not just for confirmation, but for a measure of control that had been absent in his marriage. This planning phase was not just about gathering evidence. It was a psychological preparation, a way for Paul to steel himself against the potential fallout of exposing the truth. The moment of confrontation, when it finally arrived, was charged with a mixture of dread and liberation. Paul, armed with irrefutable evidence, faced Lynn in a setting of his choosing, a symbolic reclaiming of agency in their relationship. The conversation that ensued was fraught with tension, as accusations were met with denials and the fragile facade of their marriage crumbled under the weight of truth. In the aftermath, the couple grappled with the realities of their shattered relationship. For Paul, the confrontation was a cathartic release, a necessary step towards reclaiming his life from the shadows of deception. For Lynn, it was a moment of reckoning, a confrontation with the consequences of her actions. The path forward was uncertain, marked by legal battles and emotional turmoil. But for Paul, the act of confronting Lynn was a pivotal step towards healing and self-discovery. The unraveling of Paul and Lynn's marriage, culminating in the confrontation, serves as a testament to the transformative power of truth. It reminds us of the complexity of human relationships, where love and betrayal coexist, and where the pursuit of truth, however painful, can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the relationships that define our lives. As Paul and Lynn navigate the aftermath of their confrontation, they are confronted with the challenge of forging new paths, separate but forever linked by the shared history that shaped their journey. In the wake of the confrontation, Paul found himself navigating a landscape of newfound solitude and introspection. The initial catharsis of confronting Lynn gave way to a deeper, more reflective state, where Paul began to reassess not just his marriage, but his very sense of self and the decisions that had led him to this juncture. It was a period marked by a quest for understanding and personal growth, a time when the quiet moments spoke loudest, revealing truths long buried under the tumult of a failing marriage. This phase of reflection was punctuated by moments of profound loneliness, yet it was within this solitude that Paul discovered a resilience and clarity he hadn't known he possessed. The emotional tumult of the past months served as a crucible, forging a stronger, more self-aware individual. Paul embarked on a journey of self-discovery, exploring interests and passions that had been sidelined during his marriage. This period of growth was not without its challenges, as Paul wrestled with questions of identity, purpose, and the nature of love and commitment. As Paul rebuilt his life, he also reevaluated his relationships, fostering connections that had been neglected and distancing himself from those that had contributed to his unhappiness. The support of friends and family became a cornerstone of his recovery, offering solace and perspective in moments of doubt. Through these connections, Paul began to understand the importance of a supportive community, recognizing the value of genuine relationships over the facade of a perfect marriage. The legal proceedings of the divorce, while fraught with the expected complexities and adversities, also offered a pathway to closure. Each legal milestone, though emotionally taxing, represented a step towards finality and freedom. Paul approached the divorce with a pragmatic mindset, focused on securing a future that aligned with his newfound values and aspirations. The process was a negotiation not just of assets and agreements, but of identities and futures untangled from one another. In the end, the dissolution of Paul and Lynn's marriage was not just the closing of a chapter, but the beginning of new narratives for both individuals. For Paul, it was an opportunity to live authentically, embracing the lessons learned from the pain and triumphs of his journey. The experience, while harrowing, imbued him with a sense of empowerment and a renewed commitment to living a life that was true to his values and aspirations. The story of Paul and Lynn's unraveling marriage, culminating in their divorce, serves as a poignant reminder of the transformative power of adversity. It highlights the capacity for growth and renewal in the aftermath of betrayal and loss, and the indomitable spirit of the human heart in its quest for happiness and fulfillment. As Paul steps into the next phase of his life, he carries with him the wisdom of his experiences, a testament to the resilience and complexity of the human experience. As the dust began to settle on the confrontation between Paul and Lynn, the aftermath revealed not only the fragments of a shattered marriage, but also the opportunity for introspection and personal growth. Paul found himself navigating the labyrinth of legal proceedings and the emotional upheaval that accompanied the dissolution of their marriage. Yet, it was in this crucible of change that Paul began to rediscover aspects of himself that had been long suppressed under the weight of compromise and appeasement. With the legal battle for divorce underway, Paul engaged in a deeper reflection on the years spent with Lynn. He grappled with feelings of betrayal, but also with recognition of his own complacency in the dynamics of their relationship. This period of self-examination led Paul to seek out therapy, a step towards healing and understanding the patterns that had defined his marriage. Through these sessions, Paul uncovered a resilience within himself, a strength that had been overshadowed by his desire to maintain peace at any cost. Meanwhile, Lynn faced her own set of challenges. Stripped of the illusion of control, she was confronted with the repercussions of her actions, not only on her relationship with Paul, but also on her standing within their social circle. The exposure of her affairs and the subsequent fallout forced Lynn to reckon with her own motivations and the underlying issues that drove her to seek validation outside of her marriage. This period was marked by a tumultuous mix of defiance and vulnerability, as Lynn oscillated between lashing out at those she perceived as betraying her and confronting the loneliness that her actions had wrought. As the divorce proceedings drew to a close, Paul emerged with a newfound sense of clarity and purpose. The process of disentangling their lives was arduous, but it also paved the way for Paul to envision a future unfettered by the constraints of his marriage to Lynn. He rekindled old friendships, pursued interests that had been sidelined, and slowly began to open himself up to the possibility of new relationships, grounded in the lessons learned from his marriage. Lynn's journey, however, took a different trajectory. The consequences of her actions led to a period of isolation, as former friends distanced themselves and her family offered limited support. In the face of these challenges, Lynn was forced to confront her own insecurities and the patterns of behavior that had sabotaged her marriage. It was a painful process, one that required her to reassess her priorities and the role that her actions had played in her current predicament. As Paul and Lynn moved forward on their separate paths, the legacy of their marriage continued to influence their perspectives on relationships, trust, and self-worth. Though their journeys were marked by distinct challenges and revelations, both were united in the pursuit of healing and the hope of building a future that reflected the lessons of their past. The story of Paul and Lynn, marked by betrayal, confrontation, and the quest for self-discovery, serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of love and the transformative power of truth. As they navigate the aftermath of their divorce, their experiences offer insights into the resilience of the human spirit and the capacity for growth in the face of adversity.